It was basically an idea, I think, paying attention to how we as Indonesians matchmake each other. So when you're serious and you want to settle down and you haven't found someone from your network, you tend to ask for help from your family, from your friends. And the process is, hey, do you know someone that you think might match with me? And that process, that matchmaker then looks at their network and tries to introduce you based on what they feel are the factors that can be compatible. Now, I saw this process, it can be replaced by technology simply by allowing the technology to learn about you and then to learn about others and try to matchmake you based on an algorithm. Now, the benefit of using technology is not just scale, because it's online and it reaches a lot more people. So lebih gaul, or more, they know more people than people around you. But then number two is you use more factors. So it's like it could use psychology factors, it could use your personality, compatibility factors. It could look at your socioeconomic status, which is very important in Indonesia when you're matchmaking, and also your preferences and who you are. So I think the technology allows it to be more efficient and also more scalable, reaching a lot more people. So your chances of meeting someone that is Setipe with you is a lot higher.
So since it's first started, how is it going till now?
Well, we have 500,000 users. So apparently, yeah, there's a lot of singles in Indonesia. Officially, we have about 35 weddings that they report to us. They met on Setipe and then, they got married. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of people are a little bit shy, and a lot of people wouldn't tell us because they just, they don't want to share it to people that they met online. But out of the 35 that married, we look at some interesting numbers. Like on average, 1 month after they meet, they're already engaged. So that's on average. And there are stories where after the first date, they got engaged. So it seems as if there's two factors to that. Number one, maybe the compatibility factor does help because they're more in tune with one another when they talk and chat. Their perspective on the world is quite the same. But number two, I think because Setipe's process in filtering out people, we have a lot of questions at the beginning that you have to answer, and if you don't answer it, you don't get matchmaked. Now, if you answer 100 questions to join a dating site to meet a few people, that means you have intent to kind of settle down. And as soon as you meet someone that, I could get along with this person, yeah, let's get married.
But what actually makes it different to other online dating sites?
Well, I think the matchmaking engine and the fact that we focus on serious relationships. I think it's easier for you to create something that just helps people meet. I mean, that's quite easy. But when you're trying to matchmake people, when you're trying to curate the types of people that you get introduced to so that, it feels like you're meeting someone for a second date rather than the first one. So we've already filtered out a lot of things that, if let's say smoking is a no-go for you, then you probably won't meet anybody who smokes in your match list. So using that matchmaking engine, we filter it. And I think in the future, we can use that matchmaking engine to provide more products and services. So not just Setipe.com, but we can do event-based matchmaking, we can do religious, we can do culture-based matchmaking, we could do, kind of like an online-offline kind of service. We could do couple services because the algorithm itself predicts the likelihood that two people are going to be successful. And based on that, we can provide tips and insights to help couples kind of improve their communication, their relationships. So in the future, we might move into helping people in relationships, which at this stage constitutes half the population, right?
But have you ever followed up? How is it going with the couples?
Only the people that have shared with us. I've been invited to a few weddings. I've been introduced to their parents as their matchmaker, so that was pretty interesting. So far, no divorces, knock on wood, but so far, most of them are pretty happy. I mean, I think especially, we've only been around for 2 years, so most of them are probably still in their honeymoon period. But most of them have shared that they're quite happy to meet someone that gets them, someone that, again, I don't take all the credit. I mean, I think, in Indonesia, there's a saying that your match is up to God. And so what we can do is just help you meet that person. We're just a conduit for it. So I think a lot of them say that, they're quite happy, they're compatible, they get along. And then one of our initial success stories, they basically said, look, all I was looking for was just someone I can chat with. And as soon as he met someone that he could chat with and get along, he had no doubts and they got married. And so far, so good. We'll see in 5 years.
As simple as that, as you said earlier.
Well, people have different reasons for getting together. Some people because they just want someone to chat with. Some people, fit certain requirements in their life. Sometimes in Indonesia, especially, marriage is between two families. So there is a need to kind of comply to a lot of these non-written requirements to get married. So it's a little bit more complicated than maybe in the West, where it's really just about two individuals.
Since it's online, how do you guarantee that it's secure and confidential?
Well, you can't guarantee security. In real life, there's no guarantees. But what you can do is you could reduce the chances of bad things happening. And I think the 100 or so questions that we ask at the beginning kind of weeds out a lot of the scammers, spammers, and people who aren't really serious about relationships. So that kind of filters it out. And we don't matchmake people unless they finish all of the questions. So that as an initial filter. Number two is you can chat anonymously on our system. So you don't have to exchange phone numbers, emails. You can start chatting and getting to know them. Once you feel comfortable, then okay, maybe share your email address or your phone number and meet offline. So that process exists to help users get to know each other before they decide, hey, this person's normal. I want to meet them. The third part is we have a reporting abuse system. So if you encounter someone that is a bit off or is doing things that are abusive, you can report it and our team will investigate and suspend it.
What do you do if the client is not compatible?
Well, I mean, there's no guarantees, right? I think the rule, though, I mean, within psychology, I think the rule is you can make it work with anybody. However, what we try to do, you can make it work with anybody. However, some people it might be more difficult than others. So you're more compatible with some people than you are with others. So if you meet someone that you're not compatible with, you just got to work a little bit harder to make the relationship work. And if you meet someone who you're compatible with or more compatible with, it's just easier. What we're trying to do is we're trying to curate the people that are more likely to give you an easier time in a relationship by, helping you have kind of a similar vision, to help you find that elusive chemistry where your perspective on the world is quite the same, your personality types are compatible, just to increase the likelihood of success. So we don't guarantee that, hey, we're going to find someone perfect for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to curate people that are more likely to succeed with you in a long-term relationship.
Have you received any complaints from your clients because they
yeah.
find it incompatible?
Well,
with
mainly I don't get any matches. That's the biggest complaint. Oh, where's my match? But there are people that turned out to be abusive, and like we hold their data, and if they go to the police and the police come to us, then we will share what we have within the context of a police investigation. But that hasn't happened yet, and I think a lot of it is just he's just being a little bit of a bad person, and I don't like this guy. More of that kind of abuse.
So tell us about the key of success of the person to find someone there from your online dating.
From Setipe, yeah.
From
well,
Setipe.com.
I mean, just in general though, I think you gotta again know yourself and know what you need. And in Indonesia, the context is not just individual; it's also your family. Like, know what your family requirements are. I mean, a lot of issues where a lot of young people get together and then they fall in love, and then their parents disagree. So then it becomes an issue. So maybe if you consider those facts first, and then, secondly is to give it a shot. I mean, number one is to join Setipe.com is also putting that effort. But once you're in and you start meeting people, starting conversations. This is an issue in Indonesia where we are not trained from a very young age to start conversations and to build conversations, especially with the opposite sex. So, and a lot of pressure is put on guys, and our culture is more a culture of, hey, meet my friend, he likes this and that, you like that too, like you should really get together. When you put two people in a room and tell at least the guy to start a conversation, or even the girl, they have a difficult time. So, and it's online dating is a very Western culture. It's a very Western tool where all you need is to be introduced and then you're just ready to say hi and build a conversation. In Indonesia, it doesn't quite work that way, and we're still figuring out how we're going to help people online to start and build that conversation. But the number one thing for people now is just to have courage and just to give it a shot.
So being aggressive is the key.
Not aggressive, assertive. Knowing what you want and knowing what they want and trying to meet halfway. Being aggressive scares girls, I think.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
And also tell us about the main reason why this was established in Indonesia. One of the reasons you said because the number of the singles here are so many. it?
Well, the market is open. I think personally I'm doing it because it's also a social project. There's some social impact in trying to hook people up. Also, it's a lot of fun to do. I mean, this is an industry where you come into work and you're talking about love, relationships, factors that people consider, all these kind of things. But outside of that, I think there's a huge opportunity because you're right, there's a huge young population in Indonesia. And these young people are starting to get online. So there's like about 80 million Indonesians online, mostly mobile, but you know, it's creeping up every year. And most of them are very young, and I think most of them are probably single. And when you look at a lot of the social graphs or a lot of the conversations that happen on social media, you're seeing a lot of people complaining about being single. So the problem exists. It's just that how are we going to provide the solution that complies with what they're looking for?